Good evening, everybody. Matthew from Captive Audience Comics here. I know it's been a hot minute since we had a video. A couple of reasons for that. One, CGC submissions have greatly reduced for grading. We're still doing tons of cleaning and pressing, but most of our regulars are now just cleaning and pressing and keeping them raw. They're not getting them graded. There's a variety of reasons for that. Dollars down, the Trump effect, nervousness around shipping things back and forth to the States when tariffs could change while something's in transit, or while it's in Florida, the tariffs could change. Also, complications now with CGC requiring everyone that ships to use brokers. Now, we use a broker, so for us, there's no effect on the CGC submissions. We don't have to do any special paperwork. I know that a lot of people that submit privately are submitting using a U.S. address and then having that forwarded across the border because of the international shipping rate that CGC charges. And the new submission requirements from CGC are that they will only ship back to the address, the originating address, which means that if you want to ship from that U.S. address, have it returned to it, you would actually have to ship your books there and have them forward shipped from your U.S. address to Florida and then vice versa. And that is a lot more complicated. So people have just been holding off. Vintage turnaround times is also super long unless you're fast tracking. Personally, I feel like that's an inflated turnaround time. That's just what they want it to be. They want vintage to be at that turnaround time, which makes the fast tracking a more reasonable expense. Because when fast track's only like a few weeks longer than regular, I mean, why would you pay extra unless you're trying to hit a market return? So we have a few submissions just came back, so we're going to unbox those and take a look. The box again is huge. The boxes are way larger now because of the way they're using their new bubble mailers. Now, the interesting thing is, and I will see if I can show you guys this, but you will notice that it says here on the front, inspected by Canada Customs. So Canada Customs is opening these boxes up to make sure that the contents match the documentation on the import information. Also, CGC is now including copies of your original submission forms with the return shipment. So, interesting thing about that for you guys is your valuations of your items, of your original valuations in their raw form, is what is being identified on the return shipping. So, it does mean that if a book was graded higher than you expected and now has a higher market value than you have on the paperwork, it doesn't matter because the paperwork CGC is shipping back with it is the valuation you put on it when you sent it. So if you are undervaluing or lowballing to try to squeeze into that first valuation threshold, just keep in mind that's the valuation they're going to mark on it when they return it. And if something goes wrong, you're not going to be able to go back to customs and say, well, you damaged my slab when you opened it up and now I need an insurance claim for $4,000, but I only declared it at $400. It's just not going to happen. So just something to consider. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we got. And do I have a knife nearby? I don't. So let's hopefully we can just pull this inspection tape off and go from there. All right. Okay. I'm going to put this on the floor because the box is gigantic. It won't be there. Okay. First, so again, they're shipping in the bubble mailers, which is great. These have really good protection. If the drawback is that they're bigger than the previous packaging, I mean in my opinion, that's worth it. So, what do we have here in this section? Oh, so, okay, we got a mixed bag. We got a mixed bag in here. I do have my estimated grades up on my other screen because it's been so long since we set these off. That way I can take a look at what we estimated them at. All right. First up, we have All-Star Superman #1. Oh, let me get my... Oh, let's see if my overhead camera is going to cooperate today. Oh, so far, so good. So, All-Star Superman #1. Nope, it's not going to cooperate. It is frozen. I have the slab here, and it is not displaying it. Okay, we'll just do it off the face cam today, guys. Okay? So, All-Star... Let me try to get All-Star Superman #1 and a 9.8. Now, this particular book, and again... slab looks fine. We haven't had any issues with slabs in a while since they fixed all that cracking and separations along the edges. They finally figured that out. We haven't had any issues. Now, this particular book, I'm very happy that it came back at 9.8. We actually had this book at a 9.4. Now, it has physical flaws in the book. And sometimes a book will come back higher from CGC if the majority of the books that they see of that particular print run have similar flaws. Now, I'm going to try to show you what I'm talking about without an overhead camera. And we'll see if my camera will zoom in here. But on this edge, the problem is my face here. It's going to be the problem. Camera's going to zoom in on my face. See if I can get it to show. Nah, I don't think it's going to be able to zoom in, but yeah, okay. There are creases in this cover, spine ticks basically, okay? Now, this is a high gloss, and I can't remember if this is a slight cardstocky cover. I think it probably is. High gloss thicker cover. So it has creases as spine ticks that don't break color. Okay, I mean, to me, they're clearly visible. They don't break the color, but to me, there was 3 of them, and you can see where they are. But obviously, they've decided that that's an acceptable flaw in a 9.8 because it doesn't break color, even though you can see the creases. So, I mean, whether or not that's a good thing overall for grading, I mean, who's to say that's a personal preference issue? Whether or not that means that people are going to start looking at 9.8, it's like, hey, maybe I don't want to pay that same rate for a 9.8 because they're allowing this in, whereas previously they wouldn't. But that's how it goes. Spider-Man 2099. Obviously, this is that red foil cover, which is very hard to get in as 9/8 because the foil, you get any kind of imperfection in the foil, and you're going to see it. Now, I believe we had this one at, we had this at a 9.6. Again, it has one small non-color breaking spine tick in along the edge here, so we had it at a 9.6. So we got the same benefit as the other one on that. I think that's our book. Yes, that book was our book. Next. This was unfortunate, but this is our Venom Lethal Protector #1. Again, foil in a 9.6. Now, we thought this book was a 9.8. I'll have to look up why, because frankly, this book is better than the other red foil book, and doesn't have the flaws on it. Actually, in fact, we might, you know what? I think we can actually pull that stuff up, and we can see what CGC had to say about that. What we'll do is I will pull over in my other window here. I will open up CGC Comics. We'll just pull it up in the other window here. CGC, and we'll see what they have to say. Just log in here. My submissions. That is okay. So this would be modern submission. I think it's this one. Let's take a look here. Yeah, here we are. All right. Venom Lethal Protector, Grader's Notes on a 9.6. Oh, scuffs. Multiple scuffs right center of front cover. Okay, well, I mean, it'll be hard to see the scuffs through the encapsulation, but there's a scuff in the gloss. So, well, what are you going to do? These books do notoriously have scuffs. I think most of them that I see have some sort of scuffing on them. I've always haven't had that be an issue, but it is what it is. Anyways, a 9.6 is still okay. Obviously, a 9.8 in that book is better. Now, this one, for those that know, they know, blip number 1, okay, in a 9.0. So, first comic book appearance of Mario and Donkey Kong, okay? Now, this particular one, we had this at we had Blip. This is great because we had Blip at an 8. And we got it back at 9. Now, I'm not sure why it was off by a whole point, but let me see here. Blip. That's still a modern. That should be under this one. And no, it's not under that one. Blip. You would think it wasn't under. Sorry, guys. Just we've got multiple submissions in the same box. So just want to take a look here and see which one it was under. And it doesn't actually, it's weird. They don't have it listed under. Oh, maybe it's in here. And okay, there we go. All right, Grader's Notes on this one. Spine stress lines on cover, breaks color. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we knew that. Crease front cover. Yeah, I think this was a there was a corner crease or something like that. So it's flat, but you can see where it was. So that's okay. Bend left bottom of back cover through book. And that is probably why we had that at an 8, because that bend goes all the way through the book. But hey, 9 on the first Mario and Donkey Kong. Nothing wrong with that. Now, next we have, at least in this package, we have a bunch of one particular book. So we bought, how many of these did I buy? These are all the Marvel and DC Presents featuring X-Men and the Teen Titans. Okay? That is this book. Okay? Now, I don't know, on camera my green screen is actually taking the green out of the cover. That's pretty funny. But anyways, so that's why it looks transparent. So we submitted, how many did I submit? 15 of these, I think, that we thought had potential 498s. I actually thought every single one of these books was a 9.6. There is a color rub transfer. You probably won't be able to see it. Let me find one where it's worse. Yeah, here's one where it's worse. There's a color rub transfer. You probably won't be able to see it because there you can see it on Xavier's face. See that black line right through his face? That's color transfer from another book. We checked other copies of this book, and there is no color transfer there. So obviously that's just a problem with this particular batch. Every single book that we bought in this batch had that problem. So we bought 15 copies. And I bought 15 copies just to basically see if we could, make some money off of them, and we needed to be, not that we needed to be 9.8s, because this book actually at a 9.6 isn't so bad, but really you want to be at a 9.8 to get good return on your investment. And we got lucky in that we had, of the 15 books, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 9.8s and 7 9.6s. Now, I intentionally, people are always like, should I send multiple copies of the same book to CGC? Because then I think maybe they'll look at them and they'll be like, oh, this one looks worse than those, so I'm going to grade it lower. I don't know. I don't know how CGC handles that internally. If they separate looking at them, they have different graders do it. I'm not sure. But I intentionally sent these down because even though they all had the same flaw, on some, the flaw wasn't as drastic as others. And I was hoping that they would look at them and be like, well, these ones don't look as bad as those ones. So if we think those ones are 9.6s, then maybe we should make these ones 9.8s. If that's what happened, I don't know. The result is good. The result is what we were hoping for, which is good. So I'm not going to show you 15 copies of the same book. So we'll just skip over those ones. And we'll pull out the next chunk here. And in our next chunk are these my other 9.6s and 9.8s. Oh, well, there's a couple. Look, I'll pull out the Marvel and DC Comics Presents because we don't all need to look at those. Although that'll be easy to load onto the website for sale. It's nice when you got multiple copies of the same book. Although occasionally you will get somebody who's like, the certain number of the 9.8 you sent me wasn't the certain number of the 9.8 in the photo. I don't know what to say about that. I'd be like, fine, send it back to me, and I'll see if I can find that matching certain number. If we get multiple books with the same grade, I mean, I don't understand why it would matter. They're all from the same submission, but some people are weird that way. Okay, next we have a Web of Spider-Man #1 in a 9.4. And this was good. We had this book at a 9 because there is I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is, you can see this line here. There's a dust shadow line through here. We thought that would have a larger impact on this book. They obviously didn't think it needed to have a greater impact than a 9.4, which is good for us, of course. Let me just I'll just separate my stacks while we're going here. Books that are ours and books that are clients. That's ours. That's ours. And that Spider-Man 29 is ours. Yes. Okay. All right. Next, and this is a good timing book for sale, is our Omega Men 9.6. Omega Men #3 9.6 first Lobo. Now, I thought this book was going to be a 9.8. Let me quickly check and see if I can see why. So, Omega Man was not on that submission. It must be on this submission. So, creator's notes. Spine stress lines. Cover. Interesting. Spine stress lines. So those are obviously, oh, yeah, on the back. Okay, I get it. Let's see if I can show you. Yeah, there is a spine crease on the back in the white, so it's not color breaking. But obviously it's still, yeah, there you can see it there, up there, right? See it right in there. Probably wasn't that pronounced when we sent it, but who knows what happens down there. So 9.6 is reasonable. One spine stress line, non-color breaking. It's on the back. Sometimes they are softer on the grading on those stuff that's on the back, but that's okay. And our third chunk Going to drop that here. Our third chunk. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got in here. Oh, I think there's some vintage in this one. Let's see here if I have any more. Okay, I got the rest of my Marvel and DC Comics Presents are in here. So, we'll pull those out. You guys don't need to see all those again, but basically, there's our stack of 9/8 for that stuff. There. Yeah, and it looks like all these slabs are in good shape. I have not seen any damage to any slabs. It doesn't appear that there is any slab banana-ing going on, or if there is, it's very minor. Nothing major to worry about. Okay, next. Ghost Rider 1973, #1. In a respectable 6.5. Now, we had this book out of 7. I always say in vintage books, if I'm within a grade, I'm usually pretty happy. Let me take a look here. Let's take a look at these vintage submissions, and then we can just take a look at the flaws. So this Ghost Rider at a 6.5 has multiple creases, basically, and it does. Now, doesn't really have creases in the center of the book. That is fine, but there's multiple creases. There's creases on the right hand corner across the bottom edge. There's spine creases. So I still think that's pretty good. I think that's always that's a nice book to have, even in a 6.5. Next, an Amazing Spider-Man #45, and this is the third appearance of the Lizard. And this is, in my opinion, and again, it's hard to tell. This is a yellow cover. My camera is really washing out the lights are really washing out the yellows. It is not that washed out on camera. The yellow is actually very, very yellowy. I wonder if, yeah, you can. Oh, there you kind of see it right there. You can see how yellow, how the yellow at the top is coming in. The whole book is like that. Not sure what's going on with my color balancing. Might look at that later. But we had that at 4.5, and we got a 5. So again, within a half, or within one grade ranking. So 4.5 to a 5. Then we're happy with that, where we would expect it to be. Amazing Spider-Man #46 in a 7.5, and that book we had at a 7.5. That was where we expected it to be. So bang on. Then another timely book for a customer. So this is a Silver Surfer #1 from 68. Okay. In a 2.0. Now, 2.0. Okay. We're going to look at the notes for this. So we had this at a 2.5. So again, it's a 2.0. Now, it's going to be hard to see, but all the way down this side, all the way, it must be the acrylic causing this. Sorry, this side. All the way down. You can see it in here. Okay. This book was taped all the way through. I just want to see what their notes say about this. Where's my vintage one? Vintage. Here we are. Silver Surfer #1, Universal 2.0. tape, interior cover. It's like the entire length of the interior cover and spine. Multiple creases to the front cover. Yeah, there's lots. Stain, right center of front cover. Yep, absolutely. Reattached with tape, front cover. So this is a square bound that they're actually saying is cover detached. Okay, reattached with tape. They didn't even note this, but there's actually tape all down the left edge too. You can see the discoloration. That's where the tape is. It's like tape. It's all taped inside. It's all taped over here. Now, still a blue label, right? Wasn't conserved or restored because this is not archival tape. If this had been all archival tape, reattached with archival tape, you would have got a 2.0 conserved label because it's still a detached cover reattached, but it'd be conserved because it was using proper tape. Now, here's the problem. It's better for the book to have used archival tape and get a conserved grade because archival tape will not off-gas over time and further damage the paper. This book in your blue label, you're paying more for a book that is going to degrade inside of this case over time. So you're paying extra for something that's going to slowly destroy itself, then paying the same amount for a book with the proper tape on it that is still cover detached, but is going to remain neutral and stable over time. That is a problem right now in the collecting community because most people don't understand the difference between conserved and restored. Now, that being said, this tape is that old gummy tape. We looked at trying to remove it. There was no way to remove this tape without severely damaging paper fibers of the book. So in this case, there really wasn't an option. But at some point, people are going to have to start recognizing that a conserved book should actually, in my opinion, should sell for more than a blue label. Because that book has had professional work done on it that's going to make that book survive longer. You know, the biggest problem in comic book conservation right now is high acidity in the paper. And you encapsulate a book, Fantastic Four, number 48 in a 2.5. We thought it was a 2, but so great 2.5. But a highly acidic book will continue to, the paper will continue to break down inside of here. You're not protecting this book by encapsulating it with high acid paper, but nobody wants to conserve this book. Well, some people do. I shouldn't say nobody wants to, but conservation to pH, neutralize the paper, to make that paper stable long term is the greatest single thing that could be done to preserve books. So it really comes down to, are you interested in preserving the comic book for posterity, or are you interested in getting the quickest dollar for a quick sale turnaround? And the vast majority of the slabbing market it's resale to remove the argument about what grade a book should be. So I understand from a market sales point of view, but eventually I think these books are going to become, so many of these books are just going to degrade and fall apart in the slabs that people will start investing, at least in the big key issues, will start spending the money to conserve the books to protect them long term. But you know, the market's gonna have to come around to that, and it's probably going to require another 20, 30 years of books basically falling apart. All the slabs that are coming out now, all those books basically degrading inside of the slabs, and then people spending the money to properly conserve these pieces of history. Now, this Fantastic Four, like I said, we had at a 2, came back a 2.5. So we got one book up a half point, one book down half point. That's the way these things normally go. This one had multiple tears to front cover, multiple creases to front cover, and a piece out of left bottom front cover. Now, the funny thing is there's actually pieces missing out of more than one area. There's your piece out of front left, and there's your piece out of front right, which they did not note, but the summation of the missing pieces comes to whatever grade they are. So there you go. That's what we have back right now. Obviously, we have more books at CGC sort of sitting there cruising around. We have vintage and modern submissions that are return shipping together. So obviously the moderns that are waiting there patiently for the vintage to be finished so that they can come back. We typically, unless a customer wants to book back, and we always ask first, if a customer wants to have a book back right away, then obviously we'll have to submit the return shipping separately, and then there's an additional fee for that. But if the customer doesn't care and they want to send in 5 vintage books and 10 modern books, well, we can get that return shipped together, which will save a significant amount of money for the client, especially when CGC was charging $120 US to ship a 25 books back to Canada. I think it's 90 US if you want to ship 5, or well, 1 to 5, one book, like $90 US. So anyways, that is what we got going on right now. We have orders that are probably sending out another box next week. We're just waiting for some customers to send us some paperwork. If you have any questions or concerns about shipping to and from CGC with trade wars and the current CGC's current stance on shipping and importing and exporting and brokerage and all that kind of stuff, reach out to us. Even if you're submitting your own stuff, we can at least point you in the right direction so that you can do that and not have to worry about CGC rejecting your shipment when it hits Florida. Okay, well, I hope you guys had a good night, and we will see you in the next one. Ciao.